All right, all right. Let's see if anyone shows up for this thing. So I'm going to give it a few minutes, see if anyone arrives, and I'm going to go into a little bit of kind of what I've been going through recently. Been off air, haven't been on video in a while. Kind of scrubbing it right now, and I'm completely okay with it. All right, go ahead and clear this space. So just to talk a little bit about what's been going on as of recently with me personally, as well as some of the Equinox energies and what they've been bringing about, has really been kind of dark, releasing a lot of programming right now. And I wanted to talk a little bit about that programming. Actually, as I do, I'm going to play some Johann Strauss in the background. So it's definitely Violet Flame time. I'm going to be talking about what I'm going to be talking about. So basically, what's been kind of coming to the surface as of recent for me has been a lot of clearing out more fear programming that's on the darker side of the agenda. All of it is dark when it comes down to this fear programming, but the stuff that's been popping up for me and surfacing for me that I've been clearing out of my own field and clearing out for the collective as well has been a lot of stuff to talk about, but a lot of murder programming, a lot of the fear and hatred that will come with the street life, a lot of addiction stuff as well, sexual slavery, how masculines get set up in their energetic field to be brought down by the system, kind of pawns in the game of this life, where they will take their light and use it against them. And it's something I wanted to talk about a lot more. I'm very weary talking about it because I'm still working through my own programming with it, and I want to be aware that I'm not putting more fear out there, but I want people to be aware of that. If stuff is coming up into their field, how to shift it out as quick as possible without anchoring into an old timeline or anchoring into a grid that the dark is really using for us right now to try to anchor into. And that's something that's been really popping up in my spectrum, is how do I get this out of my field so it doesn't live in the fifth dimensional consciousness? As we are arriving into our new territories and the new energies that have really come to the surface now and have been anchored in, there's a lot of us that are coming in still with some old baggage, and it's our call for those of us that resonate with this to really break down those programs, to break down those grids. And this isn't going to be for everyone. There's only certain people that I've found that have experienced this level of trauma in their life that are going through this to help break down these structures. And so if you see it being popped up into your environment, or you see it happening around you, to just be the conscious observer that right now it's being cleared out. A lot of us are working at a very, very deep level to get rid of this stuff. Hello, everybody. A lot of us are working right now to get rid of this stuff right now, so we don't keep playing out those karmic loops and those karmic cycles as they keep coming to the surface. So for me, I actually ended up traveling through to I ended up traveling to see Samantha here in San Antonio. And as I was passing through one stretch on the bus, ended up landing in an area that these grids are still heavily active. And I ended up running into a scenario because it was still in my field. I attracted it because it was still kind of lingering in my field, which was nice because it gave me an opportunity to remove that thread and to really process the deeper aspects and the deeper roots of that trauma. But I ended up attracting a situation into my life that brought someone into my spectrum that are the kind of people that I've been getting away from for a long time. And I ended up reliving a lot of trauma that I've encountered in my life, reliving it for about an hour and a half on the bus. And during that time, there was some soul fragmentation that happened. There was some parts of me that left. So I was left in kind of a dissociated state that had been really, really difficult to try to get through. And so if this is something right now that you've been reliving, if you've faced any sort of really heavy trauma that's got violence in the mix, or you've been exposed to violence, or your field has been set up energetically to be used against you, like mine has in the past, as I'm discovering more and more about what's been going on with me, just reaffirm to yourself that you're safe and that you're supported, and that we're now landing in a time where you're protected, but we still need to move this energy out of our field. So when this energy is coming into our field, or it's sitting in our field and we're shifting it out, sometimes we have to replay those scenarios and those circumstances in order to get it out, in order to shift it through so we don't keep anchoring into that grid. Because if I'm still anchoring into that grid and I don't clear it all the way through, that's also giving someone else the potentiality to anchor in that grid. And we really want to clear that out so we could really live the fifth dimensional, harmonious, compassionate, loving experience. And those of us that have been exposed to levels of that life into certain degrees, so on and so forth, they're being called to shift those frequencies out. So if you've dealt with rape, if you've dealt with any sort of sexual trauma, if you've dealt with any sort of abuse, if you were come from a very rough background or been in very dangerous scenarios, you might be reliving this stuff because, once again, you're helping to clear out that grid, but it's also still sitting in your field. So it's giving you an opportunity to be able to cleanse, to clear, and to shift it out appropriately. And that's what a lot of us have been going through that are at that level of work. That's why I haven't been showing up as much on screen. I've been working through a lot of stuff. Also, too, I've been really more wanting to get the information out there without having to show up on screen, just because of some personal stuff that and some levels of awareness that happen as we start to grow and expand. But I figured I would go live to discuss more of kind of what's been going on with me. And hello. And I see you all. Thank you all for being here once again. Thank you. And, you know, I've been shifting through some stuff and really having to go through new levels of awareness of why I operate, why I do things, because a lot more programming is coming to the surface. And this is what I wanted to talk about with the Equinox energies as well, is that since we are shifting out a lot of our programs, right now it's becoming more apparent what programs are running in our field and how we can de-story them or dissolve them out of our field. So for me, my programmings, I didn't know I was so heavily programmed until they started to vocalize themselves to me. And being someone who comes from a behavioral health background, who's, you know, being diagnosed bipolar type 2 with schizoaffective traits and has, you know, worked in this field and knows about hallucinations and delusions of grandeur and knows about voices and hearing things, it's interesting to hear the programming running. And it's something that I noticed because I've been doing more clearing on myself and actually more soul retrieval, which is something I'm going to get into in a little bit after I discuss this, is that I'm now noticing a vocalization in my programming. So basically, there will be a situation I encounter throughout my day, and there will be a voice that pops up that will kind of, and it's not my voice, but it's something that's kind of telling me how to react to the situation. And it's been, I get free money. That's right, get free money now. Yeah, no, it's not. This isn't a dis-ease or a diagnosis, and I'm not looking to get free money out of it. This is actually something that's really been coming to the surface, and I'm recognizing more is that, and I'll go into the story right now. I had a clearing session the other day, a healing session with a wonderful gate master that I really look up to, and she could not find my soul. She couldn't. It has been distorted and fragmented into so many parts in the universe that I had basically turned into a shell of programming. And it's something that's very hard to talk about, being a light worker and being a part of the global ascension and being a healer and being someone who's so in touch with wanting people to be whole and getting in touch with their soul. But I've been feeling this disconnect for quite a while. I've mentioned it on here on July 28th, 2 days after my birthday. My brother passed away. And when that happened, a lot of me had fragmented. The last parts of me that I had been kind of acquiring over this little bit of time of doing shamanic journeying and my own self-work is retrieving those lost aspects. And I had a lot of fragmentation happen. That was the catalyst for me moving. And had been heavily dissociated for quite a while, and just disconnected, feeling empty, feeling like there's a gap in my being. And after tuning in more and having various people tune in and help out, because I simply couldn't, and I needed someone to step in to give me an objective point of view, I come to the realization that through my traumas and through my field being painted and set up in the way that it was being set up to be used against me and through the Lightworker agenda, that there was this huge gap within me and I had very little of me left. And it's been very difficult. to explain totally, but basically I've just kind of been a shell of programming that's been running. And so granted, the aspects that were still sitting within me that I've had full conscious awareness of and I've been working with have been very loud and very active and have been telling me to hold on, and that the pieces are going to come back and you're going to reassemble yourself, that you're going to come back to light, and that you're going to see what's been going on. And that's what a lot of this time has been. So this the first part of this soul retrieval happened about 2 days ago. Today's the third day of integration, of really living with those aspects again that have been gone for a very long time, and really kind of healing the inner child, giving him as much power and strength as possible, and letting these aspects come back in and integrate by enjoying myself again. Cool. I'm glad someone's resonating with this, because I'm like, oh no, this is such a tough story to put out there, especially being the kind of person I am, recognizing that I've got a lot of programming that's been running through me. And I noticed it too when I was channeling some stuff. I would channel things that were beautiful, that were really, really good inspirational things, but afterwards dark stuff started to step in. And so I really started to step away from intentionally channeling beings and more channeling my soul as the aspects start to come in, and really growing in awareness. And it's a test and a lesson I had to go through. A lot of this lightworker journey, when we start to look at, channeling, transmutation, grid work, all of these really cool, fancy names that sound really neat to do, a lot of us don't know what we are doing. Well, there are some that get educated and they step in and they get it done, and they know what they're doing, and they're doing it properly. Me, I'm one that likes to dive headfirst into something and figure it out the hard way, and I had to learn the hard way. But what I found out, though, about this technology that's been running is it's a soul-splitting technology that was attacking, that's still active. It's still attacking lightworkers, and it's been it attacked me at a very young age in the hospital, and basically fragmented me and left me completely dissolved from myself in order to create chaos and to run programming against the divine feminine agenda. Yes, this is really happening. There are masculines out there that are shed to pieces, that are basically programming to halter and to bring down the divine feminine. And I've noticed the aspects coming in more and more and more. Yeah, I'll let you know, Dustin. I'll talk about it. So I had been set up with programming to bring down the divine feminine. And of course, being in union with my divine feminine, I didn't really notice it until recently. I really didn't notice it until recently. And it's something that's really heartbreaking, because I'm such a loving, compassionate person. I recognize this isn't me that's working. And that's why I keep talking about getting in touch with your vibration, getting in touch with who you are at an energetic level, and calling in those lost aspects, is because once you start to learn who you are, you can see where these programs are running. And that's what's been happening with me through the Equinox, and through really anchoring into more crystalline consciousness and anchoring in these higher dimensional grids and asking for help from other light workers and masters, is that I found that I was fragmented. Yeah, there's a lot of heart chakra blockage stuff is going on. A lot of things are coming to the surface. And oh wow, I haven't looked into the Isis and Osiris story. But yeah, so I was cut into, basically fragmented into multiple pieces, and they're all integrating now, and they're coming back into full awareness. And because of that, there's still more dark attacks that are trying to, they're really trying to split me back up into multiple pieces. And it's happening on the daily. When I'm not around Samantha, that's when the attacks come in. She's actually kind of my guardian angel, which is really a beautiful thing. And if you hear Johann Strauss playing in the background, it's because I've been working with the Violet Flame so much recently. But anyway, so this is what's been going on with me, and what I wanted to talk about is that, and just this programming that's coming to the surface. So if you notice things coming up that are really dark, and something that's a part of your story that you've been called to really do away with, just be mindful that you're safe and you're protected. Note that while you're going through this process, you are safe and protected, and it's being called up into your field and into your awareness, because it needs to get shifted out accordingly. So whatever you can do towards self-care and towards feeling safe and feeling supported For me, I've been grounding a lot. So working heavily with the Earth Star chakra, balancing, cleansing, and aligning my Earth Star chakra. Really trying to get that healed and letting that cleanse and clear out a lot of these energies has been helping. A lot of grounding too. So a lot of like child's pose and yoga, really getting down to the earth and just feeling that safe and that safety and that security from Mother Earth really does help. But we've reached a time where if you've done a lot of this work and you are living on the straight and narrow, this stuff is popping up not because it's reoccurring, but because it needs to leave. And so, and a lot of this has to do with Saturn returning too. With Saturn going direct, there's a lot of karma coming back. And so for me, once Saturn went direct, like in Saturn going retrograde and at the end, right when it was about to start to go direct, I noticed this shift of this rise of darkness coming in. And that's when I knew that I've got some past life karma that's coming through. It's not in this lifetime because I've not done anything intentionally to harm anyone in this lifetime, but it's definitely past life stuff. And it's also ancestral karma and cycles that I'm trying to break. And so because of that, I'm carrying the heavy load of having to clear this out for my family, and for my lineage, for my bloodline, so on and so forth. And so if these programs are coming through right now, ground. Make sure you're safe. Make sure you're around people that are making you feel safe and supported as well. That's been the biggest thing, is really communicating what's going on with me to other people. Letting them know, like, hey, right now, I'm not feeling quite so hot and I'm kind of paranoid. And this is, the people that know me, I can tell them what I've been through openly and they're not going to judge me for it. And I can let them know, like, hey, I'm replaying this scenario in my mind right now. It's in my field. Just know I'm trying to clear it out. So I just need a little bit more reassurance that I'm going through this and I need some help out. And they're going to be there for you. Definitely call upon the elementals too. I've been working a lot more with the Fae and with the trees. Doing a lot of work with the Fae, a lot of work with the trees to help purify and to cleanse me, and then offering something back to them as well, because they do want to help in the transmutation process. And that's what a lot of these transits and these equinox gateways will do as well, is that as we're moving through these equinox periods and we're shedding programming, there's also new programming that's coming back out. So what's going on is the dark agenda is they want to attach this programming to us to keep these cycles alive, and they are weakening by the day. And because they are weakening so much, they're still casting out their projections out there, trying to bring us down. So stay strong in who you are, stay grounded, stay firm in your beliefs and knowing who you are, and keep telling yourself, I'm in full control of my soul. I am in full control of my soul. I am safe. I am protected, and affirm it. A lot of the things that I've been doing too has been writing down those negative thoughts and those negative programs as they pop up and laughing at them, choosing to see them with gratitude and grace and then laughing at them. A lot of times, when I take something and I put it into paper or I put it into a creative project, I can release it relatively quickly because I take the power out of it. When it lies within, that's when that thing starts to build up slowly over time and then maximizes into this problem that can then turn into an entity and an attachment, or reliving a program or reliving a cycle. So get onto pen and paper and just start writing out all those negative self-talking, self-limiting beliefs that are coming through, and laugh at it. A lot of this is just that since we've arrived and 5D Earth is anchored in here, and a lot of us are coming in with baggage, some of us who have chosen to take on that load for the collective, or who have experienced those traumas and are strong enough in order to shift it out of their field, are now reliving that stuff. Because once again, it's clearing at a deeper level for me, it's clearing at the collective level, and we're knocking down those grids. Especially those of us that are grid workers and have really become awakened to the archonic agenda and how we're trying to break those things, especially if you live in a heavily archonic area. So for me, I live in Texas. So there's a lot of oil fields around here. There's a lot of controls still in place, and things that we're still breaking down, and it's taking a while. I went from one heavily archonic grid area in San Diego, dropped right into another, but that's part of my mission. And that's what I'm doing and what I'm going through. And so if you're going through this process too of transmutation or transfiguration, definitely try to align with your highest vibrational aspect on how to deal with the process. So we don't have to sit in bed anymore. It's something I've been discussing with Samantha's and I's clearings, is that we don't have to really soak and sulk in the transmutation process anymore. I really like the term transfiguration, and it's something that's popped up in my field quite a few times, and we're going to see a spin of change in discussing the transfiguration process, which is a lot more ease and really quickly turning something that is a block or a limiting belief or a distortion immediately into a blessing. So we don't have to sit through this grueling period of 3 to 5 days, 7 days, 2 weeks of just really processing this crap. So what you can do is just essentially align with source, and then align yourself with your highest truth and ask your guidance. What is the best way that I could shift this out of my field in order to get rid of it quickly? And what supports can I call on? So I could call upon the elementals. I could call upon the earth. I could call upon the trees. I can dance. I can listen to music. I can transmit messages into the collective, whether it be through a format like this, where I'm actually physically transmitting a vocal projection into the collective, or I can actually simply talk to the collective in which I'm representing. So for me, representing the masculine collective, I can broadcast my signal into the masculine collective saying, hey guys, I know you're going through this right now. I know it's difficult, but I'm here for you and you're strong. Stay strong. And really help to transmit that out as much as possible. So the biggest thing is aligning with your highest vibrational truth. And as you're going through the transmutation process and you are shifting things out of your field, finding the best way to do it that is going to be the most ease on your body, on your soul, on your emotional body as well, so you can continue to move about your day. Because I know for me in the beginning of my transmutation process, it was something that I went through for grueling days where I had to miss work. I was not calling people. I was sick. It was just, it took a nasty toll on my body. And I'm recognizing that, like, hey, I don't want to do that anymore. I don't want to carry that much weight and that much burden on me. What easy steps can I take towards replenishing my soul, replenishing my body, and then being able to shift it out as quick as possible without being grueling, stuck in bed for multiple days at a time, where then I'm more open to attachments. Portals can open up because of my vibration, and then I'm I'm trapped in a corner, just taking on way more than I need to. Yes, dance. That's something that I've been doing more. Actually, Samantha she's been teaching me different types of dance, and that's something I've been trying to do. Yeah, I have animals follow me around. It hasn't happened recently. I've not been around a lot of animals, but animals will follow you around because they sync up with your vibration, especially if you're landing in a natural area or you're doing grid work. When you become a vibrational match to the earth and where you're at, especially as we're grounding in and really anchoring in these frequencies and expanding our earth star chakra, the animals will come in because you're of a vibrational match to that animal. And so they will come and meet you because you are feeling the earth, you're grounded, you are swaying with nature. And because of that now, the animals are attracting to you and they're welcoming you into their space. So it's actually a beautiful thing if that's happening. Is if animals are popping up like that a lot, it's because there's a call to you, because you are resonating with the frequency of Mother Earth and your earth star chakra is open and activated, which is really good. So that's another thing too that's happening, is as we're landing in these new frequencies, the 12 chakra systems coming online. It's something we've been aware of for a while, discussing more of the earth star, the soul star, the stellar gateway, the causal, and the navel. So as our 12-star chakra system, or our 12 chakra system is coming online, that's because we're becoming more in line with our etheric body. And as your etheric body starts to come online, you're going to recognize more distortions popping up into your field. You're going to feel more, but also too, you're going to have doors start to open because you're now really overtly aware of how these programs and how these things work. And so as you're more aware of these things, you're going to notice that doors are going to be opening. You're going to be attracting more lower vibrational energies into your space. It's a really call to clear and to really set yourself up for success in the energetic department. Like me, whenever I come online now, I've got selenite in my hand. I've got a stick of Palo Santo that I'm constantly cleansing. And speaking of which, I'm going to do that right now. I've been seeing a lot of dragonflies lately, by the way. Dragonflies have been following me everywhere. And that's a beautiful thing. That's a lot of magic in the air, a lot of transformation, and recognizing that life is very short. The lifespan of the dragonfly is actually extremely short, but they live very fulfilling lives. So I saw an American bald eagle the other day too, which is something I've never seen in my entire 31 years of existence. I've never seen an American bald eagle, and I saw one on the side of the freeway driving up to San Antonio. So anyways, another thing too is to make sure you're protecting yourself as much as possible. But when you're protecting, make sure you cleanse yourself first, because it's kind of like if you're exposed to a lower vibrational energy right now, or a programming that is being brought to the surface and being removed from your field, and you protect a little too late, you can almost encapsulate that program into your field and let it be stuck within you. So remember that when you're protect, like a lot of energetic self-care has been coming into play. So in the morning, I wake up and I connect immediately, and I immediately set up my protection for the day, and then I go about my day. So I tend to usually, it's like putting on sunblock when it's a little too late. You just don't want to do that. Like, preventative measures are key. And especially as our etheric body is coming online more for more people and we're becoming more aware of it, we really have to step up the self-care. Like, as we start to ascend in our vibration and in our level of awareness, that means that we kind of have to try a little bit harder in order to really take care of our energetic body to the best of its ability in our etheric body. And so with that becomes more self-care. That's why I actually released the video of the connection routine, where I connect you to the crystalline core, connect you to source, align you, all that stuff, is because I do that every single day now, multiple times throughout the day. And I find that when a programming is coming in, or I'm actually about to encounter a situation that could create some sort of discord in my field or in my environment, well, if it happens in my environment, it's going to enter my field. I immediately stop everything I'm doing and I connect. Especially if I'm about to get into a disagreement with a loved one. That's been the biggest one. Like, if I feel that I'm on the verge of having to release something and I need to talk to them, and it may create some sort of discord frequency that's out of alignment with love, compassion, with joy, because I'm still filtering out my programming and they're working out their filtering out their program, we stop everything, we connect, we clear, we set up our protections, and then we give ourselves that time to really discuss it versus react. And so that's been the biggest thing too, is being non-reactive. Especially when we've got really deep embedded trauma, fear, abandonment wounds that are still coming to the surface as we're processing. Because a lot of this isn't overnight. A lot of the abandonment wound, a lot of this stuff that's been popping up recently, it's not an overnight process. Like, yeah, we can shift it out of our field pretty quickly, but depending on the layers that we have stacked up over that trauma, it's going to take more and more time to release. And so really just honoring what you're going through and taking it easy, making sure you feel safe and supported, surrounding yourself in the most loving, energetic atmosphere. And that includes what you're listening to media-wise, what you are listening to on the television. What movies are you doing? What are you reading? Because a lot of this is there's still subliminals, and I don't want to put out this fear out there, but it's very true. There's a difference between fear programming and truth. And there's a lot of subliminals still out there, and the agenda is to keep these programs active and alive. And a lot of it is happening in media. So I'm such a music buff. I listen to music all the time. I get music playlists every week that I listen to on Apple Music. I turned on my music playlist this morning and I could hear the programming running in the lyrics. The repetitive nature of certain words, of really not being able to break out of certain cycles. And music is a beautiful way to be able to process what's going on. I'm a musician, and there are a lot of heartbreak songs I've written and a lot of pain and torment that I've needed to release through my music. But also, too, it can still keep that program active and alive. And as we are wiping out these timelines and we're trying to really create way to anchor in more new timelines and more of the 7th dimensional grids that are coming down now, the 7D pyramid grids, what we find is that when we keep those things active and alive, and that music active and alive, that historical documentation is keeping that timeline alive. So imagine it, like if we didn't historically record World War II and we were collapsing these timelines, would the imprint of World War II still exist here on today, and the energetic imprint of it? I don't know. But this is a lot of what I've been realizing about the clearing, is that it's been absolutely imperative that we are careful about what media we are choosing and taking in. And it's tough because I love gangster rap and I love the street hip hop, but to a certain degree, it's still keeping those things active and alive that I really don't want to listen to anymore. I also listen to a lot of metalcore and a lot of death metal. That's something that I grew up listening to. And so listening to, bands like Pig Destroyer and Aborted Fetus and stuff like that were things that I really loved as a kid and have a lot of great nostalgia to it, but it's still keeping an active, open program alive that I'm trying to get out of. So, Nas's new stuff is very enlightened. I love Nas's new stuff. And that's what's really neat too, is we're finding that there's a lot of artists now that are awakening, and you're going to start seeing that their music has an enlightened tone to it that is really helping to reshape the media process. And this is something that Fleur Brunn did a video the other day talking about Tekashi 6ix9ine, which was very interesting to hear about how his field was energetically set up for the situation that he's in right now. And this is something that's been coming to the surface for me, is how if you've got a light worker in your family that has got a very strong light and a strong vibration and is here to do an important mission, these energies and these entities are extremely smart and know that you arrived, and they know what you're capable of. And so they will come in and set you up in a scenario to set your energetic field up for immediate success, and then bring you down with your doom and gloom by removing you and removing love from your life, isolating you, hermiting you, creating a weakness within your field. So then you attach to some darker organization in order to upkeep you and to give you strength. And now you're working for their agenda. And that's something that happened with me. I don't know exactly the orchestration of it, but I landed myself into a situation because of who I was and things that I was going through, where I was stripped away from my family and was then called to have to start to make unfavorable friends. And my field was essentially getting set up for a similar scenario. Luckily, I caught onto it and I got out of it really quickly. And once again, so yeah, right. Yeah, it doesn't get body snatch and become an agent. Yeah. And see, the body snatching and the agent thing is really true. I mean, this is what I'm going through right now when I've been feeling disconnected lately, and I found that, you know, luckily I had someone tune in and saw that I was just shattered into pieces all out in the cosmos. And I'm really calling in those aspects as much as possible now to really integrate and become whole and really get more in touch with who I am, so I can stop this from happening, because it's something that started at a young age for me when I was put through some soul splitting technology, and I'm remembering more and more why it happened. And they ended up creating a control portal through one of my guitars. And you know what? This is what's really tough. I'm going to stop really quick and just state this. For someone who's been going through what he's going through, as well, as far as like hearing the programming voices and talking about this stuff, being in the behavioral health system, being, you know, a recovering drug addict, does someone see how the pattern of what I'm discussing right now sounds like insanity, or sounds like something that could really pull someone into getting institutionalized or really discrediting them because of what they've gone through? But this is how this stuff works, is that when you have to really take a step back and own what your truth is and really break through the programming of what society has told you is really going on and really discovering the truth, it can get hard. Because right now, like I found myself talking about a portal opened on my guitar and soul splitting, and I was just talking about programs of hearing voices and things like that. Well, guess what? That's how this stuff works. And this is where we really start to understand the process of the darkness and why we're breaking these grids down and why some of us are doing what we're doing. Personally, I don't like talking about this stuff a whole lot because I think that truth exposure is key, but it can still keep some active fear programming alive, because the last thing I want is anyone to really is that Chels? Hi, Chels. Last thing I want is anyone to feel fear over my messages, because that's not why this is here. This is explaining more what's been going on and the stuff I've been going through, and really letting it through, let people know that this stuff is really alive, and to look out for your children. That was the big thing that Fleur was talking about, Fleur Brunn was, and stuff that I'm putting out there too is if you've got kids, like, look after them. If you're a man and you have a child, be there for that child and protect that child, because this is how the dark works, is if they see something special within them, or they see that they could be a potential agent, they will set up their field in order to work for their agenda. And all of this happens through trauma, and it happens through victimization. And it is not going to happen if you don't heal. So the biggest thing to stop all of this stuff from happening is by healing. And that's what I've been having to do. I've been taking a lot more time, focusing more on my family, focusing more on my relationship. And yes, whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Exactly. It's going to make you, if you choose to take the healing cycle route and not reverberate at the traumatic frequency. Because when you keep reverberating at the traumatic frequency and you keep that in your field, you're attracting more trauma into your life, and you're keeping that alive. So we have to switch. We have to flip the script, and we have to start to heal in whatever way possible works for you. So support groups really helps. Talking to other light workers that have been through it. Yes, return to sender. Yes. That's been, I haven't been saying return to sender so much. I've been sending it to the light, because sometimes returning it to the sender can keep this bounce back, moving back and forth. And it's actually something I found through my work of when I got attachments or black magic was done to me, was when I would return it to sender, it eventually just kept this karmic cycle going. So once again, these dark energies, they come to us because they're feeding off our energy, because they're disconnected from source. So that's when I call in Archangel Michael's fifth dimensional tube of light, and I send them to the light. And if they don't want to go to the light and they don't want to go to their golden room to get upgraded, They got to go out into the universe and they're not allowed to return, plain and simple. And this is where the archangels really help. That's why I'm playing Johann Strauss right now, is because Saint Germain is the shit. And Johann Strauss will really help in that process. And I've now got lightworker friends that I can text on the fly and go, guys, I need protection right now. Can you help me out? And that's the biggest thing about having a community and really unifying in this, is that when you start to create friendships and bonds with soul family that are also healers, workers, or work with their own angels and guides, they can send them in too. And we've got a really wonderful community on a Twitter group that I don't know if Jordan's still in here, but my good buddy Jordan, one of my soul family, I texted him today. I had once Samantha left for work, something came in and tried to leech in, and I called my teams, my own personal teams in. Hey, there you are, Jordan. And I texted Jordan. I said, Jordan, this is what's going on, man. Can you send some guidance my way? And of course, we call in Saint Germain, Archangel Michael, and boom, it leaves just as quickly as it comes. So just know that you're set up for success, and these things don't want you to know who you are. That's what it is. It wants you completely disconnected from yourself, so you don't know your divine power and your divine love and your divine truth, and it wants to hurt you. It wants to hurt you by you not remembering who the heck you are. So a lot of this has been it's been very difficult recently, but you know what? I'll say this. I was set up perfectly to meet the right people at the right places at the right time, to get the right tools and to get the right strength to be able to encounter this with a new level of grace and dignity in order to shift it out of my field. So remember that anything that pops up in your field, you are completely ready for. The universe, if you are on this ascension path and you are a light worker and you're doing this, lots of love to you, Ellen. Thank you for coming out. Is that you've been set up for success in every department of your ascension process. And that's something that I forget at times. I'm like, man, why is this happening again? Well, guess what? Spirit and God, whatever you believe in, the prime creator, is only going to give you what you can handle. And so if you're going through an ass whooping right now, guess what? Spirit knows you can handle it. And that's what I'm going through. And it's really helping to change and shift out a lot of frequencies out of my field, not only for myself, but for the collective and for the masculine collective too, which is something that is needed, because we're really trying to create union, not only with the masculine and feminine, but letting that reflect outward. Because a lot of people want to come into union, but there's still a lot of discord and a lot of past life trauma and a lot of things that have happened amongst the feminine and the masculine that are really affecting a lot of those unions coming into play now, and the incredible amount of work that the masculine and the feminine can do together in order to raise the frequency of the collective. And so we're finding now that there's a lot of that programming coming to the surface to be released, because our relationships are going to better improve as a result of it. We're going to notice it in the collective. We're going to find more harmony, and especially we're going to see it in the political structures, and we're going to see it in our day-to-day existence. And so I know for a fact that there's a lot of women that have been dealing with a lot of boss stuff at work with male bosses. Once again, it's the feminine is taking their power back, and the masculine doesn't like it. I've gone through this. Right now, there's been quite a few times recently with, and I'm going to state this out loud. Samantha is the love of my life, and I would never want to disempower her. But there have been some programmings that are running through me, that are entities that have placed this program within me, where she starts to take her power back, and I trip out. And I know it's not me, and I know it's entirely those programmings. It's a narcissistic programming. It's an agenda to take down the feminine, because guess what? They knew that this stuff was going to happen. So why not get us at a very young age, fragment us, run these programmings, so then we can go and we can try to hinder this experience. Well, guess what? We're really good. We're really good at putting puzzles back together. Some of us that are at this stage of our journey are extremely conscientious of these programs that are running, because they now have a vocal tone to them. And when they start to pop to the surface, we go, okay, we're going to shift this out of our field. We choose unity. We choose union within. We choose harmony. We choose love. We choose compassion. And we start to get that programming out. And I'm stating about my programming because I bet you there are so many masculines on YouTube and way showers that don't want to discuss this programming that's running within them, because it makes them look bad. But guess what? It's real. It's not me. This programming is not me. It's something that is embedded and has lived here for eons. And the dark has used it in order to keep these karmic cycles alive in these karmic loops. And I'm choosing to warning about automated voice channels. Many are AI or negative. Yeah, the automated voice channels. Yeah. And that's the thing, is we all know about this stuff. It's occurring. And, you know, sometimes there's aspects of me that really don't want to dive into it too much, because once again, I don't want to keep the fear alive. I don't want any soul on this earth to feel unsafe. I don't want them to feel unsafe. I don't want them to feel like they can't go out and enjoy their lives, because that's something that I've been facing a lot in my life, and a lot recently. But it's very true, and I'm now actually being called to just stop talking about it, because I got my voice out there about that stuff going on. I'm shifting it out of my field, and I'm raising the level of awareness in hopefully a lot more masculines that are aware that this programming is existing within them, and it's time to shift it out and get rid of it. So really quick, I'm going to connect everybody. We've got 29 people in here. Thank you so much. I did not expect to go live for 40 minutes, but I thank you all so much for coming in here. So I'm going to go ahead and just connect everyone to crystalline grid and to source, and then disconnect you. So let's go ahead and align us with source. We're going to connect to the crystalline core of Gaia, call this energy up. Let's go ahead and call upon the purest form of source that can enter our field at this time, bringing this down. Let's go ahead and wash and cleanse any and all active threads, distortions, or programs that are running in on and around our field that are keeping us attached to a fear grid, keeping an old program alive, an old cultural belief, or an old societal program alive. I ask that it be cleared and transfigured now across all time densities and fields. Beautiful. We can go ahead and download all available rainbow frequencies of the light spectrum into our fields now, giving us all the colors we need in order to seek balance and purity and joy. Grounding in this energy. And really quick, let's embody fifth dimensional experience into our heart. So let's bring this love, this compassion, this joy into our heart, and let's expand it out into the universe. And with us doing this, we can expand this out and really paint the world with the fifth dimensional experience that we're trying to live. Energetically, not only painting our own field, but helping others to be able to attract this into their field, giving them all the opportunity to raise their own vibration as the collective vibration continues to ascend. Great. Cool. Whew, yes, rainbow light showers. And call upon the unicorns. Unicorns will really help right now too, to give you a journey and to feel safe and supported and to find some clarity. Also, if you're purifying your field at all, call upon the diamond white light, the diamond white flame, to come down. Call upon the violet flame as well. The elementals really want to assist in this, especially the Fae and the Earth Elders that from Central Earth. They want to come up and help in this process. So there's a lot that we can do towards purifying our field, and also purifying our karmic contracts. And that's something I'm trying to learn more, is purifying my soul contracts in order to align them and balance them with my highest truth and my highest ideal, so I stay walking on my ascension timeline and stay on the path to righteousness and unity and respect. So anyways, guys, much love and respect to everybody out there. I'm going to disconnect now my field from yours, closing all doors. Thank you again for coming out. I love you all. I will be going live more. Something I haven't done a whole lot, but I had to overcome my fear of getting on live. So thank you all again for coming out. And with that, I will see you guys on the other side. Namaste.